The fragile line between justice and vengeance. Trunks' journey across the Dragon Ball universe. Trunks is one of the most dynamic and multifaceted characters in the Dragon Ball universe. Shaped by loss, driven by vengeance, and ultimately transformed through his journey toward justice. His character arc stretches across multiple timelines, arcs, and series, from Dragon Ball Z to Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Heroes, and even through fan-made manga. Each of these iterations deepens our understanding of Trunks as a character, his struggles, his evolution, and the decisions he makes in the face of overwhelming adversity. Before we dive further into the topic, welcome to the Dragon of Samsara, where we'll cover everything anime, from discussions to lore drops, Q&A, and what-ifs. You'll find all the latest anime and manga news here. We post a video once a week, so consider subscribing if you like the video, so you don't miss the next one. Trunks' story is not only about his personal growth, but also about what it means to be a hero in a world filled with despair. His journey raises questions about vengeance, justice, and redemption. To better understand how Trunks navigates these complex themes, it's useful to compare his actions with those of other Dragon Ball characters. We'll use the other three prominent Saiyans in the story to see what they would have done in his place: Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan. The decisions Trunks makes in his universe are not just shaped by his experiences, but also by his unique perspective as a survivor of an apocalyptic future. So, how would they fare in his situation? The tragedy of the future Trunks story begins in a future timeline where the Earth has been decimated by the androids, and the Z-Fighters have all fallen. As a child, Trunks loses his father, Vegeta, in battle, and his mother, Bulma, is killed by Goku Black. He is raised in a world of constant threat and endless survival by his mentor and closest companion, Gohan. Gohan trains him in the ways of combat, but it's not just physical prowess that Trunks gains. Gohan teaches him the importance of honor and justice. But when Gohan dies in battle against the androids, Trunks is forced to confront the reality of his situation. This loss is pivotal, as it marks the transition from a hopeful child to a hardened fighter, seeking not just survival, but revenge. His transformation into a Super Saiyan occurs not from the desire to achieve power, but because of pure rage. This is not about becoming the strongest. It's about destroying the source of his pain. He has no other outlet. Vengeance consumes him. In his eyes, revenge against the androids is the only way to ensure Gohan's death was not in vain. This decision to focus on vengeance contrasts sharply with how other characters in Dragon Ball might have reacted to such a loss. Vegeta, Trunks' father, might have responded similarly, driven by a desire to be the strongest and to avenge his fallen loved ones. However, Vegeta's pride might have led him to prioritize strength over emotional closure, focusing on surpassing everyone, even if it meant distancing himself from the emotional toll of loss. Goku, on the other hand, is the opposite. He has always been more concerned with overcoming personal challenges and achieving strength not for vengeance, but for the thrill of battle and the desire to protect others. Goku's reaction would have been to continue fighting, not out of hate, but in the hopes of creating a better world. Trunks' decision to focus on vengeance reveals a crucial aspect of his character, his profound sense of loss, and how it drives his actions. Unlike other characters who might seek out emotional healing, Trunks sees power as the only solution to his pain. His rage fuels him to go back in time, hoping to alter the course of history and prevent the world he grew up in from ever coming to pass. Trunks' role in Dragon Ball Z. The fight against Cell. In Dragon Ball Z, Trunks' role becomes crucial, not just in warning the Z-Fighters, but also in the fight against the androids, and eventually Cell. His arrival in the past to inform the Z-Fighters about the future was an earth-shattering moment, as it represented the first glimmer of hope for a world that had lost all semblance of peace. However,
Trunks was far from the naive boy he appeared to be. He was a soldier, driven by a desire to prevent the future he had already lived, one where his friends and family were dead. This new, older version of Trunks had already witnessed enough destruction to fill several lifetimes. The Cell Saga provides a pivotal moment in Trunks' development, when he travels back to the future to confront the androids in Cell. It's not just a battle of strength, it's a battle against the memories of the people he's lost. Trunks eventually defeats them, but the victory feels hollow. Despite avenging Gohan's death, the loss of so many others, including his own father, leaves him with a deep sense of emptiness. He saved the world, but he still has no one to share it with. The only thing that gives him solace is that he can protect the future for a new generation. The contrast between Trunks and future Gohan becomes apparent in this saga. Future Gohan's quest for power was always tempered by compassion. Gohan never sought to destroy out of vengeance. Instead, he was driven by the desire to protect others. His sacrifice, dying to protect the Earth and future generations, shows that there are other ways to approach tragedy. While Gohan's loss was equally devastating, he took a more altruistic and less personally driven approach to his battles. If Gohan had been in Trunks' position, he would likely have prioritized not only stopping the threat, but finding a way to heal the emotional wounds left by such loss. In contrast, Vegeta would have been proud of Trunks' strength, but likely critical of his approach to dealing with loss. Vegeta's own journey is about pride and strength, but even he eventually learned the importance of protecting the future, especially after becoming a father. His relationship with Trunks evolves from a somewhat distant and prideful father to someone who understands the importance of family and sacrifice. Vegeta would likely have supported Trunks' desire for justice, but would have focused more on the need to remain emotionally strong. The Dragon Ball Super arc. Trunks' evolution. Trunks' return in Dragon Ball Super marks the point where he begins to fully evolve, realizing that his previous mindset, rooted in vengeance, is ultimately unsustainable. The future Trunks arc, in Super, is a turning point, as it forces Trunks to confront even greater threats in the form of Goku Black and Zamasu. The stakes are higher, the challenge is more complicated, and Trunks finds himself again fighting to protect the future he holds dear. However, this time, he does not act out of rage or vengeance. What sets this arc apart is Trunks' growth. By this point, he has come to understand that his previous approach was deeply flawed. While his anger initially gave him the power to defeat foes, it did not provide him with the healing he needed. This time, he fights to protect his loved ones and the future, not because of anger or revenge, but because of his responsibility as a protector. His actions in Dragon Ball Super demonstrate that his focus has shifted from seeking vengeance to understanding what true strength means. The ability to protect others, even when it costs everything. This growth contrasts sharply with Vegeta's approach, which still carries an edge of pride and vengeance. Vegeta might have been similarly driven to destroy Goku Black, but his approach would have been more focused on demonstrating his superiority. Goku, who fights for fun and to grow stronger, might not have fully understood the depths of Trunks' struggles. He would have helped, but likely in a more carefree, let's get stronger way, never fully appreciating the emotional weight Trunks was carrying. Trunks and Dragon Ball Heroes and fan manga. In Dragon Ball Heroes, an alternate universe featuring characters from different timelines and realities, Trunks' journey is explored in even greater depth. Trunks' role in Dragon Ball Heroes shows him stepping up in more extreme situations. He faces multiple versions of himself, some still driven by vengeance, while others have learned to move beyond it. In this multiverse of chaos, Trunks' character is tested in new and unexpected ways. Here, Trunks faces darker versions of the heroes and villains he knows, forcing him to make difficult choices. This scenario highlights the complexity of his character. He's no longer the angry, vengeful boy of his past, but a more thoughtful and calculated hero. The expanded multiverse of Dragon Ball Heroes allows Trunks to confront versions of himself who might have chosen a darker path, further cementing the importance of his decisions and actions in creating his own identity. In fan-created stories, Trunks' legacy is often explored through different lenses. Fans see him as a symbol of resilience and growth,
In many fan mangas, Trunks is shown in alternative scenarios, sometimes fighting alongside other Universe Z fighters, or even taking on the mantle of a mentor. These alternate versions of Trunks allow fans to explore what might have been. What if Trunks hadn't gone back in time? What if he'd stayed and continued to fight for his fallen comrades, instead of trying to change history? Trunks' connection to fans, a symbol of hope. Trunks' character is universally beloved by Dragon Ball fans because he represents the hope that one can evolve despite suffering. His journey from vengeance to justice resonates deeply with audiences who see him as a symbol of perseverance. Through fan art, fan manga, and online discussions, Trunks has become more than just a fighter. He embodies the belief that redemption is possible, no matter how dark the past is. His art teaches us that the path to healing doesn't just lie in defeating enemies, but in standing up for what's right. Conclusion. Trunks' legacy in the Dragon Ball universe, from his beginnings as a young warrior seeking revenge to his eventual role as a protector of the future, Trunks' journey is one of growth, redemption, and understanding. His evolution throughout Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball Heroes, and fan-created stories reveals a character deeply shaped by loss, yet ultimately driven by a desire to protect the future for others. What sets Trunks apart from other characters is his ability to learn from his friend's death, experiences, and transcend the path of vengeance. Unlike Goku, who fights for fun and growth, or Vegeta, who seeks prideful strength, Trunks learns that true power lies in protecting the future for those who still have hope. His story is one of facing impossible odds, questioning morality, and ultimately deciding to fight not for himself, but for the world. In the end, Trunks teaches us that strength is not just about defeating enemies. It's about overcoming our own inner demons and choosing to fight for a better tomorrow. His legacy is one of redemption and hope. A hero shaped by pain, but ultimately a symbol of what it means to rise above.